What's going on, y'all? And welcome to another episode of Resilient Kings Podcast.
Whoa. Now you about to start some controversy here.
I am your host, Yaron Brown.
Hold on a minute. This is a Resilient King alert. Resilient King alert. You ain't gonna roll past that.
This is Resilient Kings Podcast coming to you.
Let's go.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Resilient Kings Podcast. I am your host, Yaron Brown, and I have a super special guest today. I am super hype about this. It is Mr. One Man Band himself. Some of you may be asking, well, what makes him so special? It's because he did my intro. Yes, the intro that you hear is all him, designed specifically for me. I mean, so when you hear that intro, please note that it is this man right here that's doing it. And he has been grinding for years. We will hear his story. He will tell us about the process. This man is a resilient king. I'm telling you that flat out, stamped, signed, sealed, and delivered. Mr. One Man Band himself, AKA, I'm going to let him say what the AKA is if he wants to, but please welcome Mr. One Man Band. Thank you, brother. Thank you, Cuzzo, for coming to the episode. I appreciate you more than words can express. I know you're a busy man. Thank you for taking your time out to spend with us today and just share your story. So thank you. Thank you
for having me, man. It's always fun to, come in, especially with the fam and, give back to our community, the Kings, the Resilient Kings. So it's a blessing to be here, man. And thank you and the whole team for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Outstanding. Look, this ain't happening without you. Let me tell you, this ain't happening without you. Point blank, period. So let me tell you that. So the way that it happened was so organic that it couldn't be nothing but right. So let's just jump in. You obviously in the music industry, right? Every person I know wants to be in the music industry. Everybody thinks it's a cakewalk, right? Everybody thinks that it's a simple process. I produce some music and boom, it's a done deal, right? Please, let's just start from the beginning. Where are you from?
I'm from Fresno, California, born and raised. So that's where I grew up and got my experiences in music and inspiration.
Okay. And so what were some of those inspirations?
Well, number one was seeing my dad. I'm second generation music industry. So just seeing him, how he conducted himself and the life that we lived as a result of it, just seeing that was something that always made me curious to know more and to really want to just see what it was all about, And I tell my dad all the time, if he was a heart surgeon, I probably would have been one too. So here we are,
Which is huge, right? So for you, your dad was super impactful.
Yes, without a doubt.
Shout out to Pops. For all the hard work he put in.
Yeah, man.
So what about seeing his movement made you consider music at all?
I had always had a love for it, and that was something that was always, within me. I felt like I was born to be in it. But just being able to see all the people that he helped and the lives and the families and all the people that he impacted from just creating opportunities, not only for himself, but for the people who were directly connected and involved in anything he had going on. He was always going to look out for you and make sure that, you had some work, you had an opportunity to make a name for yourself. And it was a team, a collaborative effort, looking out for each other. So I just saw him help people and give a lot of his time, his money, his energy, everything. And I decided that that's something that I wanted to do because I'm naturally a loving, giving person as well. And it just took off from there, man.
And so did he put the jetpack behind you, or you just had to figure it out yourself?
The jetpack came much later, probably in like my teen years. He really wanted to see, I think early on, like, was I just talking about it? Was I really going to stick with it? And, from elementary school through middle school, I just stuck with it and stuck with it and stuck with it. And then he really realized to a point, like, okay, this is what he wants to do. And because he'll tell you first, he didn't want me to be in this industry. I remember him asking me when I told him, like, this is what I want to do. He's like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, you sure? And I'm like, yeah, this is where I'm most happy, and it's got its sides that a lot of people don't know. And it's a tough industry. There's a lot of darkness to it as well, but you just have to, keep God first and stay focused and keep good people around you. And that really helps you, propel to the next level. God first does that, but keeping a circle around you, a good circle, is very important. So, but to answer your question, the jetpack came later, man, much later.
So I want you to hear this, so ain't no confusion, because you know what I do. So again, this is a resilient. So it's a resilient king alert. Resilient king alert, right? This is that thing that I always point out to you that resilient kings have. So I want you to hear him. He said you got to have a circle around you that's going to nourish and be a resource for you when you need it, because that's what's going to help keep you grounded. Right. So I want you to know, I ain't got the button again, that but if I had it, I would have had it right there on that statement right there. So I want y'all to hear it, right? So I want y'all to hear the fact that you got to have a team. If you don't have your team around you that's going to support you and lift you up, then you're going to feel isolated and doing it independently. So you get to this place. So I know you've been LA, Fresno, you've been all over the place doing the music.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing? You said since elementary school.
Yeah.
Elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
Just getting your feet wet in the music and doing your thing. When did you decide, right, okay, it's time to like really try and push what I'm trying to do?
I would say that was probably high school is when it kind of clicked for me. And really it was towards the end of high school when I kind of realized that, like, okay, I'm looking at the college thing. And I did a few years at a junior college, but then quickly I realized, that school wasn't for me. And I'm not advocating not to go to school, because everybody's path is going to be different. But for me personally, I knew what God put me on this earth to do. And I knew that I had to go after it no matter what. I had to chase it and just keep the faith. And those two things are what kept me here and allow me to do what I'm doing and continue to do what I'm doing. So that's a huge piece of the whole equation, is your faith and your work ethic.
He hit you with another one. He hit you with another one, y'all. He hit y'all with another one. Fellas, faith and work ethic. So listen to that. Faith and work ethic are two things that are so important in getting you to where you want to go. So and the passion. Remember, he just said, look, it ain't always been peaches and cream, but I had a passion. I know my purpose. Some of y'all looking at money as your purpose. And it ain't about the money, because the money's going to come if you live in your purpose. If you living through your gift, all that other stuff is coming. He hitting y'all with it. Y'all don't understand it, but I'm stopping him so y'all can understand what this man is saying right now. So everybody typically gets into the industry or wants to get into the industry, and they like, oh, I'm just going to get on and I'm going to be making $1 million in a couple weeks, maybe a couple months, right? What was your process? Like, what was the process for you? How did you get to a place where now you are seeing the fruits of your labor, where you are finding success?
I would say really being persistent, but really taking that risk for the reward, like willing to risk it. It was times where I said, okay, maybe I'm not going to go buy these shoes or these clothes, or I'm not going to go out to eat with my friends this weekend and party. I'm gonna stay at home and I'm gonna buy some new instruments for my computer, or I'm gonna get a guitar, or I'm gonna buy something. Really just betting on yourself and willing to invest in yourself to go further. And for me, it was very tough at times for me to say, well, I could just spend this money on something else, right? But I took the money and I always try to buy something that I can put back into myself that's going to help me be better and perfect my craft and offer a better product for my clients. So that's how I look at it even till today. Like I'm always, even if I have $10, right, I'm going to try to find something online that I can buy, if it's a plug-in or an instrument or some type of sound that I can get from my computer or anything that I'm working on to help me be better and to make better art. So that's how I look at it. You really have to bet on yourself, and you have to continually bet on yourself. And God sees that. And that's a part of the faith. Like you working, that's a part of you working for something that you can't see in the moment. You got to just keep that faith and bet on yourself and willing to risk certain things for the later reward, sacrifice, you know?
So I'm hitting the button this time. Bam, 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 bam. Resilient Kings moment. Willing to bet on yourself and willing to sacrifice short term for the long term benefit. So think about that. He is saying that he is not going to go and purchase something that's not going to benefit him in his pursuit to be the person he wants to be. He ain't gonna go get the clothes if he ain't got if he need a sound. So y'all need, like, it's so many men out there that are going to buy those shoes before they reinvest in them. That they're gonna go out before they stay home and do the studying they need to do with the market or crypto or whatever industry they're in. They're not going to take the time out. They're gonna go and party before they decide that they're gonna really pour into themselves, right? And that's where the faithfulness comes in. That's what I hear you saying, right? So now I remember you telling me the story about like really connecting with people on Clubhouse, right? Like really, how long, for the people out there that don't know, how long were you trying to connect with people on different platforms before you saw the benefit that came with that?
Well, I know it was during COVID. I would say it was about 2 to 3 years, and I was on between 6 to 8 hours a day. I was treating it like a job. You know, sometimes I might work a 6 hour shift, but I was on there every day straight for a 2 to 3 year period for, you know, at least 5, 6 hours. And I was just networking with people and connecting with people and trying to build genuine relationships organically, a rapport with people. It's not just about, hey, check out my music. You know, it's about connecting. We're all humans, right? That human aspect, connecting with them first as people, and then spending more time around, okay, they're saying, okay, this guy's consistent. He was in this room yesterday. He was in the same space yesterday, you know, with the same type of message. There's no way he could be fronting, right? This is who he is. And it really takes them time to get to know you. And that's what I wanted, to just build with people. I wasn't, because it took me a long time to even get to that point to connect with the people. So I knew I wasn't in a hurry. I knew, going back to the faith thing, I knew that God had something for me. I just had to stay focused and I had to stay diligent and just keep at it and be persistent. And it eventually, you know, 3 years wasn't the time frame I had for myself, but it wasn't up to me. It wasn't my time. It was God's time. So that's how it worked, you know. But it was some days were tough, man. Some days I would get frustrated. Like some days, you know, I had doubt about it. Like, is this working? But then I just kept with it, you know. Even it was days I woke up and I felt like I didn't want to connect with people, but I still got on and connected with people. So you just have to push yourself. When you don't feel like doing something, you have to continue to push yourself, because that's when you know like something is you're this close.
What kept you from giving up though? Right? Because you said some days you just like, it was like, dang, like when it's supposed to pop, because it wasn't your timeline, right? Your timeline obviously was different from the timeline that that existed. What kept you focused? What kept you engaged?
I think really it just boiled down to my belief. Like, I believe so strongly that this was going to happen for me. And some of the things I'm doing now, I saw 5 years ago, and I prayed for that. But just my belief, like, this is going to happen. No matter how I feel in the moment, it's going to happen regardless. I just need to keep at it. And I've always been a person that I can't give up on something. I feel like I let myself down, I let God down, I let everybody around me down. I don't like the feeling of like walking away from something and that I didn't complete. And knowing I couldn't have given my best effort was just, it eats me alive. So I just stuck with it, man. And I believe it. And not only that too, I love it so much. I love it with all of my heart. You know what I mean? So it's something I could never give up on.
How do you keep yourself the way you are in a business that sometimes can be inauthentic?
I think you just have to really stay true to yourself and just know who you are. It's important to find yourself before you do anything in life. You need to find yourself and know who you are so that you know what you bring to the table. And once you know who you are, people begin to know you for that. Whether they like it or not, they're going to see you for what you are. And that's something that's helpful for me. I always try to be genuine. I just connect with people in a genuine way. And I truly care when I talk to people. I really care if I ask you how your family's doing or how you've been or anything like that. I'm genuinely asking because I care and I want to know. So just, those are some things that are important in my journey that have helped me, and everybody's journey is different, but that's something that's helped me.
So what this brother is saying is self-worth is important. Understanding who you are as a human being is important. Not allowing what you have or what you see as being a barometer for who you are, right? Because if that changes, so too do you, right? So that's crazy. Here we go. Some more Resilient King stuff. I'm trying to tell you, Resilient King skill. He dropping on y'all today. I wish I had that bomb like Clue you should drop. Right, that DJ
Yeah,
Clue dropped that bomb. Shout out to DJ Clue. So want to say, I'm telling you, like, what he's bringing to y'all is so important. Not only the fact that he is stuck with it, but he's doing something different, right? So can you explain how you are or what you do in the industry to some degree, right? Because everybody thinks producer, composer, oh, what artist you know what I'm saying? What artist you attach to, whatever the case may be. What do you do in the industry?
Well, my area of focus is film and TV. I definitely work with artists like most traditional producers and composers do, but I'm specializing in film and TV. So, and that's called the sync licensing industry. It's like advertisement and music kind of having a baby. If there's a Target commercial or soap or anything, a car commercial, and they need music, they reach out to people like me for my music to help them sell their products. And that's really what the focus is. Like, if I can't help these companies be better, if my music can't help them tell a story or sell a product or both, then I need to go back to the board. So that's something that I love doing. And that's what I've been doing for the past 4 or 5 years, specifically with film and TV. So it's been a great journey, man. And I'm excited for the future. It's just the beginning.
So, because I hear a lot of artists and they want to be out in the front. They want to be in the front. They want to be in the limelight. Sometimes not being in the limelight and not being in the front don't mean that you're not successful as a producer or a composer, right?
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, that happens. You see that a lot. I mean, a lot of the people who are, I won't say in charge, but a lot of the people who are, in control of a lot of things are kind of behind the scenes. And that's always been like the person I am. I'm not shy, but I never wanted fame. I never wanted to be in the limelight, but I still wanted to be equally as important as the people who are in the limelight and just be able to make great art and great music to share with the world. Because we know music is medicine and it helps so many people. And that's really why I love it, because you get to help people and give back to them. So it's been a great journey, man. I'm so blessed and fortunate to be here.
So now you are still fairly young, right? What is something that you learned growing up that you have had to unlearn being a young man, right? Being an adult, a young adult man, what has been something that you grew up thinking, okay, yeah, this is the way it worked, this is the way I'm doing it, and then you had to, like you said, kind of pivot or switch it around and be like, oh no, that ain't the way it worked, and you were willing to unlearn it to grow.
That's a great question. For me personally, I would say having a backup plan. In my opinion, I felt like that was something I was always told growing up. Like, you gotta, okay, if your music doesn't work, you gotta, whatever, you gotta go get a degree or work a job here. And I believed that to a certain point. And then once I hit like 15, 16, I'm like, there's got to be something more to this. And I just started, researching, and I would talk to different people who were doing the things that I was trying to do, whether it was my dad's connections or some other people I would meet just networking out and about. It was something that I realized, like, okay, all of the people who are successful that I talked to said they never had a backup plan. And why? Because they knew it was going to work out. And the moment I shifted my mind to start thinking like that, I feel is like things started happening closely. Like after that, a few years later, like stuff started working out when I was like, okay, because I was going to school to be a dentist and I was like doing that whole thing. And one day I just woke up and told my parents, like, I'm not going to dental school. Like, I'm going to do this. And they were just like, what? Like, what do you mean? I'm just like, yeah, like, I believe it's going to happen. I don't know when, but I believe it's going to happen. So for me, unlearning, because I think when you have a backup plan, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's almost like setting yourself up to fail. Like, it's like saying, whatever you're going for might not work out. But when you have faith as strong, you believe it's going to work, and you're putting in the work with that faith, it's no way God's not going to bless you. It's just not, it's not on your time. It's going to be on his. So that's something that I had to unlearn, man, was having the backup plan.
Okay, because you was gonna go like a backup plan almost. From what I'm hearing you say, for you, the backup plan was kind of holding you back from going all in on what you really were passionate about.
Right. It
Okay.
was a
Okay.
mindset thing.
Okay. Okay. So now, both of your parents, you grew up with both of your parents,
Mm-hmm.
right? Sister, what was it like growing up in the house?
It was great, man. It was a lot of love, It was always, always had good music around. It was just a real good vibe, My parents were firm, but it was because they cared and they loved us. And
Gotcha.
I'm glad that they raised me the way they did, because I wouldn't be the man that I am. But it was great growing up, and we had everything that we needed, and some. So it was a blessing, man.
Shout out to mom and pops for all the work they didn't put in, all the effort they had. They were one of the, so just so you know, like they were one of the couples who I looked up to growing up. So shout out to mom and pops, just just doing their thing, had like just set it out. Going up to Fresno, had no idea where Fresno was. It was like, a whole nother country to me going up there, and just the love that I was shown when I was up there. Shout out to mom and pops for most definitely for being a blessing, and just being a role models for me growing up. So yeah, shout out to mom and pops.
Thank you, man.
So
Appreciate it.
now, you in the industry now, you doing your thing. Is it easy? Right? Is it a cakewalk? Because most people say, once you in it, it's light work, right? So is it light work, or is it still a challenge at times?
It's definitely nothing light about it, and it's challenging every day. It's a challenge every day, and I feel like there's a certain amount of work that goes into getting in, and then you need to work twice as hard, if not harder, to stay in, because there's always somebody coming for your spot. Like somebody's right behind me okay, I'm trying to take his spot. You know what I mean? But I got to just keep doing what I'm doing and work hard and be persistent and consistent to be able to stay in this, because it's easy. We've seen people come in and out, and this industry is tough. It'll chew you up and spit you out like that. So just, you got to really know how to moving around, and knowing how to move as an art in itself. And that's really something that most people need to really master more before they get into, like, I can make really dope music. That's great. That should be your focus. But there's so many other aspects that are just hidden from a lot of people based on their perception of what they see on TV or what they hear, So that's something I would say. It's definitely a challenge, and it's the challenge I need though in my life. I'm up for the challenge. I'm willing to work at it. Whatever needs to be done, I'm gonna take care of it. So
now I gotta ask, because I don't know you as Mr. One Man Band. Where did the name come from?
The name came from, I played in a band growing up. So that's really where I was first introduced to music. And that's on my mom's side. So my mom has 4 other siblings. It was 5 of them growing up, and they all played an instrument. They all did something. That was kind of the rule my grandparents had. You have to play an instrument, do something with music. So when I was born, I got into it with them. I was a drummer. I started playing drums at 5, and I would always play with them. We play family gatherings. We would always, rehearse at the house and just, feel good, play the songs my grandparents wanted to hear. And, I would never really sit still. Like, I would be on the drums 1 minute, then I would be waiting for my uncles to like put their guitar down, and we take a break, they're going to get some water. As soon as they left, I'm like, I pick up their guitar and try to play it. And my mom is the one who really coined that name. She would say, Blair, he a one-man band. He don't never sit down. Because I would just be all over the place. Like, I'm going to pick up the flute, the violin, whatever. If it's an instrument, I'm going to try to play something with it and make something on it. And I literally could not shake that name off if I tried. Like, I couldn't. I tried to shake it off and come up with something else, but that was just what stuck for me. And I do play multiple instruments now as a result of that. But when I was a kid, I couldn't sit. I was everywhere, I didn't see myself just as a drummer. I saw myself as a musician. So that's where the name came from. Shout out to Mom. She's the one who first coined it when I was a kid. So I just ran with it, man. Yeah, I just ran with that, man. And here we are today. So
Sounds like the architect, the grandparents.
Yeah.
Shout them out. Shout out to the grandparents for really building the structure, or at least creating the base for the structure to be built on.
Yep.
Right. So now, have they transitioned, or are they still here?
My grandpa's transitioned. He passed in 2016, but my grandma, she's 95. She's still around, and she's still actively involved in all of our lives. And, so it's just a blessing that we get to still spend time with her, so.
Absolutely. So one of the things that we do on Resilient Kings podcast is anybody that has transitioned, that has been impactful in our lives, we immortalize them digitally by saying their name. So what was Grandpa's name?
It was Clarence Bush.
Clarence
we call him
Bush.
Frenchie, but that was his middle name. Yeah.
Got it. So shout out to Grandpa Frenchie. Shout you out. Salute all day, every day. We thank you. We thank you for laying the foundation to what is now Mr. One Man Band. Any other So what are you doing now exactly? Like, what are you into now?
Currently, I'm working with Tyler Perry Studios. We got some placements. Some stuff has came out. Some stuff's on the way. I'm working on a series right now called All the Queen's Men. So we got season 4 of that. That's going to be streaming Thanksgiving Day is the premiere for that. So I'm excited about that to see, and just see how the music plays a role in them telling their story and speaking to their audience that they have. So been working with him and doing some stuff. And his studio is based in Atlanta. So I that was an opportunity that came from Clubhouse. I met some writers from Atlanta who were there, and we just built that relationship. And they flew out to LA one weekend, and I was like, I gotta be there to meet them. And I just felt I couldn't miss that opportunity. And I didn't know that this was coming from it. I just wanted to meet them in person because we had been talking on the app this entire time. And they're really locked in with the whole crew in Atlanta, Tyler Perry. And, I guess it's good when people talk about you when you're not in the room, whether it's good or bad, and they have been talking about like, hey, this producer, he's from Cali, he got a different flavor and he brings this to the table. And one of the supervisors was like, yeah, let's get him on the phone. Let's see, and that's talked to him. He was super cool. He ended up being from Cali too, the same city that my dad was from, which is crazy. So I just knew a lot of the stuff he was talking about. And he was like, I like you, man. You're a cool cat. And after that, it was kind of history. I sent him some music and he was like, yo, we're going to use this for that show. We're going to put these 3 in this movie and we're going to do that. And it was just like, still can't believe it. Sometimes it doesn't feel real. So it's a blessing, man. It's a major blessing.
So now, did you end up flying out to or driving down to Cali to meet him, or y'all just connected over the phone?
I was in my hometown, which is Fresno. So, that's about 200 miles from LA.
Yeah.
So I rented a car and I got a hotel and I just knew that, okay, they're coming to town. I can't miss them. And
how many hours was that?
The drive?
Yes.
It was nonstop. It's about 4 hours, 3.5, 4 hours.
So for all y'all, hold on a minute. I gotta hit the button. I gotta hit the button again. So listen, he's so dedicated to his craft and was not going to allow an opportunity to pass him by, no matter what it took. He drove 4 hours to meet somebody, not knowing what the outcome of that meeting was going to be. It was just to connect and to build relationship. A lot of times that's what we miss though, right? Especially as men, we miss building relationship. It's always got to be for an ulterior motive. It ain't got to be just to build relationship. And as men, we need to start working on building relationship with each other and not just a associateship where we are just looking for you to do something for us in that. Not saying there's anything wrong with having those type of relationships, but there are other relationships that's important to have where you are building community with other men so that we can support each other, and not in an unhealthy way, but in a healthy way. Right. And that's what I hear you saying that you did. You went down there not knowing, man, woman, not knowing who it was, right? Or knowing the person, but not knowing what was going to happen from that encounter. And it ended up being prosperous or at least fruitful in the interaction. That's huge. That's huge. So I want y'all to see like some of this behavior that we have is unhealthy and is blocking us from being as successful as we need to be, right? And so we look at success, a lot of men look at success as financial. Success goes beyond financial, right? That's why a lot of y'all got a lot of money, but y'all hurting inside. Is because everything that you are has been associated with a thing and not who you are as a person. And so it's important to understand. Man, do you know how much money is probably spent getting a hotel and trying to rent a car to go and not know what's going to happen from that? Crazy. But you did it. But you did it. What is that like? What does that feel like in the moment to do something like that? Right? What does it feel like in a moment to do something not knowing what the outcome? Because we always want to know what the outcome is, right? We always trying to predict the outcome. You went down there not knowing the outcome, right? You went down there on some humble, like, let's just meet up and see what happened type stuff. What was the energy like driving down there to do that?
I'll be honest, sometimes it was kind of nerve-wracking. It's like when I thought about and just really taking the risk and betting on myself, like booking that room and renting the car and paying for all the stuff that I needed to pay for that weekend for me to be down there. worst case, I was like, okay, well, I just spent some money and that I won't get back. You know what I mean? And that's cool. That's fine. I was probably going to spend it anyways if I never went to LA. So going down there, it was just like, I know something's gonna, I just had a feeling like something is gonna shake from this, like something's gonna happen just because of our interaction on the app. It seemed like we were super cool and nothing was forced. It was organic. And, going down there, it ended up working out, man. But it was a little nerve wracking at times, but in the back of my mind, I never said, okay, this ain't gonna work. Like something, if I didn't do anything directly with them and work with them, they were gonna connect me with someone that could. You know what I'm saying? And there was always like extra things in my mind that played out. Like, okay, maybe, and not looking at it from like what they could do for me, but I just knew that I had a good feeling about it because they're cool people and they're likable people. So it was just, I feel like we had a lot in common off the bat, and it was worth it, man. Look what came from it. And I never really looked back after that trip. It's like, I'm glad I did it. I'm really glad. Like, it's moments like that when you say, like, wow, like all that time I put into this, all that energy, all those nights I stayed up, exhausted, working and trying to connect with people, like, it's really paying off. Like, that was the moment where it's like, this paying off, like, stick with it. And that was it, man. That was like,
So another element to this that Blair isn't saying, but he said, is that his fear did not persuade him into running. His fear, he used it as motivation to keep going. He didn't use it as motivation to talk himself out of doing it. Because it's like work, right? You got in the car, you driving down there, you nervous about going down there, blah, blah. It's like work to say, this ain't gonna work out, right? So I'm going down there with that energy, right? I'm going down there with that fear of, oh, I may press it, I may say something I don't need to say, I may not get there on time, I may do or say something that disrupts the whole organic process, right? I may just say, forget it, I'm not going. I may just call him.
yeah, almost. And that's the devil creeping in. That almost happened. Like, maybe I'm not gonna go. And then it's like, nah, you better go. And that was it.
And so that's what that fear creeps in, and sometimes that fear paralyzes us and keep us from doing the things that are important to us. That's a resilient king skill, right? Not allowing fear to interrupt the process and the path that we are on. And you just, again, these are resilient king skills, brothers. Please note that the things that we are talking about are resilient king skills. And that's what we doing here. That's what this space is for, is to promote resilient kings. And if you're not one, to listen to it to figure out how to become one. So I know we're coming to a close. Any advice, any words of encouragement that you want to give to these men that are listening to this podcast, that may be watching on YouTube, any information that you want to give that is going to provide some type of encouragement and or advice to these men out here?
Absolutely, man. I would say the biggest thing is believing in oneself, believing in yourself. You must believe in yourself and what you got going on before anybody else on this planet is going to believe in you. And there's going to be trying times, there's going to be challenging times, there's going to be frustrating moments, there's going to be doubt, there's going to be times when you feel like giving up. I'd be lying to you guys if I said I never felt any of those. I have, but you just have to be persistent and continue to believe, like, no matter what happens, like, nobody on this earth could convince me that I wasn't going to do what I was doing, because I already knew that God put me here to do this. And I just needed to stay focused and diligent and persistent. And I needed to go after it. Every chance I get, I'm chasing this thing. And that's something I would say to anybody watching or listening. You have to believe in yourself and you have to go after it. Like, go after it, because we don't have endless time. we got to make the most of the time we have and seize that opportunity in the moment while it's happening, because you may not get that chance again. So you got to believe in yourself and you got to just go for it with everything that you have. And I promise you, it will work out. It will work out in a matter of time. It will happen for you.
And everybody's time ain't the same, right?
Right. Everybody's time is different.
Gotcha. All right. So look, I don't have anything else to say about that. Mr. One Man Band, please tell them how they can find you.
You guys can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat. It's all Mr. One Man Band. And it's just like it is, if you guys can see that on the screen, but it's MR, the number 1, MANBAND. You guys give me a follow, shoot me a message. I post a lot of content that is giving back to the community and helping people and preventing them from making the same mistakes that I made. I want people to be better. So you guys check out my content and let me know if there's anything you guys want to see me post. I love to make something and add value to you guys. So thank you for having me too, cuz I appreciate it.
Man, it's been my pleasure. I promise you, it's been my pleasure. Mr. One Man Band, aka my cuzzo. Look, I don't know what else to tell y'all. Was Resilient Kings podcast, and we out.